I stop and fix my flat tire and talk about today's episode. I love driving on country roads. Even when I had a car, I barely drove on the highway. If I could get away with it wherever I was going, I would try to take all the back roads. Beautiful drive through the countryside is so much more scenic than the highways are. When I first started this journey, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I just totally in experiment mode, my first time doing anything like this. And I was pretty confident that the monster could do it, but it's a new experience. Never done this before, so I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. But the monster surprised me. It's so comfortable to drive on the open road. It's just amazing. And it's nice and fast, so you get where you're going pretty quick. and comfortably, I must add. Nice soft suspension on it. But it actually surprised me in more ways than one, actually. So I'm going to talk about my trips today and what I learned about the monster. So, welcome to today's episode. Heading out on the first trip, all full of excitement and anticipation. I'll start my journey here on Grey Road 28, or drive-in road as everybody calls it, because there's a drive-in there. So heading out, pull off onto the shoulder every time a car comes by, and continue on. I really hate driving on the shoulder because I'm so worried about getting a flat tire, all the junk that's there, stuff that people have thrown out of their vehicles, or fallen off of vehicles, or leftovers from collisions or whatever. All kinds of junk, you just never know what's going to be there. So I turn on to side road 2, and this is the road that's got all the hills on it. And I get to the first hill, and like I say, I haven't done this before, so I don't know what to expect from the battery. So when I get to the hill, I put it in low speed mode, go up the hill, so I'm not forcing the motor to draw its maximum current. Just kind of doing what I can to preserve my battery power. And of course, get over the crest of the hill and back to high speed. So I did this with all the hills as I continued on. The uphills are kind of slow, but the downhills are nice and fast. It's really nice to drive down. And I accidentally run the stop sign here in Grey Road 3 and get onto the dirt road. And one more really steep hill. This is the steepest hill that I face on this whole trip. When I get to the conservation area, I pull in. I actually got butterflies in my stomach. First time pulling in with the monster. And as soon as I pull up to the pond, actually even before that, just seeing it, just the feeling was just overwhelming. I was so excited to actually be there. I didn't stay as long as I'd like to have, but at least I enjoyed the time that I did spend there. I just kind of not 100% confident, I guess, in my ability to make this system work with the 2 sets of batteries. So I got most of the battery drained off. I've still got 2 bars left on the battery meter. Kind of heading home. Kind of not going too fast here. Really pretty bumpy in this particular spot. And of course there's the tractor tire tracks again. They're really super bumpy. They just shake your bones like crazy. Then just as I start heading up the hill, I hear chirp chirp. I go, oh, And I look down, sure enough, down to my last bar. So at this point, I don't want to change the batteries. I'm just gonna keep going just to see how far it's gonna go. And once the monster starts slowing down, then I'll stop and change the batteries. But for now, I'm just gonna keep on going. Heading back the same way I come out. So all the uphills on the way here will now be downhills, and all the downhills will be uphills. And the two steepest parts are both be downhill this time, so it should help out with the batteries. At this point, monster's still going full speed. I'm driving quite a ways on the low battery warning. That's still going strong. And come over the crest of the hill here, and the monster actually gives me a surprise. Normally on a smooth level surface, the monster cruises at 21 kilometers per hour. Going downhill, I think the highest I've seen is 24 or 25 at 24, I think. So I'm starting to go down here, and it's going faster and faster and faster. And to my surprise, I actually hit 29 kilometers per hour. That's the fastest I've seen on the monster. I was quite impressed. I get into town, and it's still going strong. It still hasn't slowed down yet at all. So, pull into my driveway. It's still strong. Yeah, all the way home. So I made the whole trip, all the way there, played in the trails, and came all the way home. And the low battery warning was on the whole way home, and I made it. I never had to switch the batteries. I was so impressed. Heading out on my second trip. This is my overnight run, and taking the same route that I took the first time. And once again, kind of putting it in slow mode, going up the hills, conserving battery power. After a great time cruising the trails in the dark, I started heading home. Once again, leaving earlier than I'd like to. I'm still not 100% confident. I'm down to 2 battery bars again. This time, I get about halfway home before the low battery warning starts beeping. So, no worries at all. I know I'm gonna make it. So on day 3, I pretty much built up my confidence to stay out a little bit longer, and this time was going to be driving in the rain. So heading out there again, taking the same route. This time I'm going full throttle up the hills. I'm not slowing down for them because I know my batteries are lasting a good long time, so I don't have any worries there. Unfortunately, I get to right about this point right here, and I run into my first real problem. So at one point here, I noticed the scooter's baskets pointing to the left, and if you've been watching my videos for any time, you'll know what that means. Flat tire. Now I'm looking at it, it's not flat yet, it's low. It's not making a howling noise. But if you also notice, the video is kind of tilted to the left, which means the monster's tilted to the right. So the tire's down pretty good. But at this point, I'm hoping it's just a really super slow leak. I'm hoping I can get out to the conservation area. I really don't want to change it on the side of the road. So I'm hoping I can make it that far. But yeah, go on a little more. And there's that sound. I look down, yeah, it's time to change it. I'm not gonna make it. Change it on the side of the road. But this is one of the things I was prepared for, expecting flat tire. I have 2 tubes with me just in case. So, first time, hopefully last. Unfortunately, the rain was delayed, and I couldn't just sit out there doing absolutely nothing. I had to drive the trail, so I went for a drive and used up a lot of my battery power. So once we finally did get some rain, trip to the trails was kind of short. I was getting low in battery power, so I started heading back. And before I got back to the parking lot area where I was planning on changing the batteries over, monster just didn't want to go any farther. So totally completely drained the monster's batteries for the first time since I've been going out here. So I had to switch to my alternate set. And the problem I had with this was I've never used the full power on my auxiliary batteries. They're not actually scooter batteries, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect from them. But didn't actually get to drive in the rain itself because it came with a thunderstorm and I don't like being out in the open. So I kind of hid in the washrooms and waited for it to end. And of course once it ended, the rain ended. So, but I was checking the radar and there was more rain coming later on, so I was going to stick around. So I did some more driving in the rain. And I found a place to hide the monster. By this time it was dark, so I felt a little better about it. And being as it's raining, I didn't really expect anyone else to be out there anyways. So by the time I was ready to head home, auxiliary batteries were already down. The low battery warning was going already. I was at the far end of the conservation area, so at this point I decided to take a different way home rather than going all the way back out to my starting point. I decided to take the fire road out to Grey Road 3 and go home that way. I figured it would be quicker. The other advantage of going this way is there's really only one hill, a steep hill anyways, and it's where the bridge is. You're going uphill, and it's pretty steep, and then the flat bridge, and then steep again right after. But other than that, the rest of the roadway is just kind of gentle hills, mostly up, but towards the end of the road, and you're actually going downhill good ways. So time of night, it doesn't matter too much with the traffic, but the issue I'm facing is low batteries, low external batteries, non-scooter batteries, and I got a second flat tire while I was out at the conservation area, and being as it was a front tire, I didn't bother changing it, so I'm driving with a flat and driving with all my lights on. I'm not exactly sure what to expect along the way. I'm hoping I batteries die, I don't have another set to go back to because the first ones are already dead. Let's go see what happens. But made the whole trip into town. It's still going full speed, same as before, but this time with the external batteries, and they seem to last as long as the Monster's batteries did, or at least as long anyways, and I never had any problems, so I was pretty happy. The fourth and final trip that I made, I took the same route out. Yeah, I did the same thing as last time. Full throttle up the hills, not worrying about the battery charge this time. And playing the trails for a little bit. I had specific things I wanted to do, and all was going according to plan until I destroyed my camera's power supply. Yeah, I wasn't able to record anymore after that. So, didn't have to worry about getting on and off the trailer, placing cameras everywhere. I just drove around and just enjoyed. First time since I've been going out there, I was actually able to do that. After cruising the trails for a while, I getting kind of tired and worn out from holding the steering straight. Decided it's time to head home, and my batteries were already at the low battery warning level, so I switched them. Didn't really need to right away, but rather than getting to the point where I had to change them, probably maybe at a inconvenient place or something, I just decided to do it. I was at a time and place where it was okay to do it, so get that done, get it out of the way. So I'm heading home. I took the back way home again. It was so much better than going up those really steep hills. I didn't have a whole lot of battery power left in my cameras, because without the power supply, the cameras are running on their batteries and they don't last very long that way. So I didn't get the full trip home. But I come out of the fire road and just kind of sat by Grey Road 3 for a little bit, taking a break before I head home, and somebody on a trail bike come down, stop and talk to me for a little while. Actually quite a while, at least half an hour I think we were sitting there. And headed home, and that was it for my trips. Like to have gone out again. So much more I wanted to do out there and show. I wanted to get up in the upper trails, but Monster had other ideas, and you'll see that coming up soon. I think the best part of this whole experience is the Monster seems to like these long runs, and the batteries seem to last longer doing this than the same distance cruising around in town. Like the long runs just really seems to make the batteries last longer per charge.